Hello everyone. Today we would be discussing on Git and GitHub. Firstly, I'll tell you why do we require Git in general, how to configure GitHub, how to create a repository on GitHub. Then I would be basically telling you how you can configure Eclipse using Git and also using Git Bash. So in order to make you understand, consider you are working in some organization and your manager comes in and tells you to write a document, and the document is basically write a document on like your experience in your school, something like that. So what do? There are certain steps that you do in order to create that particular write-up. So first, day one, if you consider you are on day one, you create your document. Then day two, you basically check if there is any correction. Day three, you come and fix the grammar. Next, you basically change the color to highlight some of your experiences. Then there could be certain things where you want to have like features in it, you can basically include that as well. And finally you include your company logo and then you submit. After that, your manager comes in again and he says that I still require certain things, like even when you were creating the document, there are certain changes that you still need to do. So in this scenario, the thing is, if you want to keep a track on all of these changes that you have done from day 1 to day 6, you can enable using the version control. You can maintain separate copies for each of the days, so that if you want to look back to a particular day, you can go back and look at it. So this programmability, this functionality is given by Git. And in order to enable Git, or like in order to understand Git, let me first tell you how it works. So GitHub is a repository which is maintained on a server, and you can have different, like you are working in your home versus you are working at your office. You can maintain separate copies at both the ends. You can make changes from home, you can make changes from office, because on the server you are maintaining a single copy and you can basically make all these changes. There are several version controls that are available, CVS, SVN, Git, and we would be basically working on Git. We can also look at SVN, which is another good approach to maintain version control and keep track of your documents. But the difference between any other version control versus Git is Git allows peer-to-peer collaboration, versus SVN it is just a centralized server and you have working copies at different sites. But unlike in Git repo, it is a peer-to-peer communication. You can have multiple people working at the same document at the same time and make changes and all those things. So Git basically enables you to do that. Git was initially developed by Linus Torvalds in 2005. It is an open source and you can basically download Git Bash. You can also enable eGit on your server. So there are different things that you can do using Git, and there is a eGit plugin available as well on Eclipse, and I'll tell you how to enable that as well. But let's start with Git Bash. So in order to have the Git Bash installed, what you need to do is first search on first step is basically create an account on GitHub. Once you have created account on GitHub, you can basically go to the GitHub website. I have already configured. You can go over here and create your own document. This is github.com. In order to download Git Bash, you basically search Git Bash and you would look at different available features. I have already downloaded for myself on Windows. There is Git Bash for Linux version as well. You can look at this particular website and download the appropriate. So let's see, I have already downloaded it. So let me first go to my Git Bash, and once I click on this, let's see my present working directory. So let us see, let me make it larger So pwd tells you the present working directory. I'm presently under C users Hina. I want to create my own basically folder, so I can use mkdir, that is make directory, and let us make git test. Let's make this particular directory as git test. Once I make this directory, I want to go to this directory, which is change directory, to git test. Once I do this, then let me create a new file over here, which is a Java file. So I can use Vim, which is used to, it's an editor that you can, that is used to create several documents. So I can write, I want to create hello.java. Once I click on this, an editor is open. I click on I in order to insert, and then basically I can write down my Java programs. So public class hello, this was hello, and then inside this I want to write public static void main, and string args, and then inside this system.out.println, and I want to print hello world. Okay, so once I have written this, I can save this file. So I can click on escape :wq, which is, it has been saved, and then I can do git cat hello.java to see if what I have written, everything looks good. Now I have to initialize GitHub, like not GitHub but Git repository. I have to maintain version control on this particular file, that whenever I make any changes, I can keep track of it. So first, in order to initialize Git, I can click on git init, which means I have initialized this git version control in this particular folder. And if you want to look, let me go to C users Hina. I have already created this, which is git test. I have initialized, so I have one folder which is git, and I also have a file which is hello.java. Now for instance, I want to check the status, so I will click and click on git status. So if you would look at it, it says that untracked files, there is a file called hello.java which is available, but you haven't added it. So in order to add that file, you have to write down git add hello.java, which means you want to add this. There might be the thing where it can ask you username and your email address, so you can just write git config followed by user.name followed by your in whatever name you want to provide, and similarly git config user email, and you can provide your email address. Once you have done this, I want to commit this, so I will do git commit, and then this is my first, so let me just write first commit. This is just a first commit. I'm just telling to the git that this is my first commit, I want to add this file. So once I click add this, it says one file changed 6 insertions, so it has already added. So if I click on git log, it says that there was a commit entry, and at this particular, on July 16th, at this particular time, the author was Hina, that's my name, as well as the address, the email address, and there is a ID which is associated with this particular file. Now basically I want to make these changes, make some changes to the file again, and then I have to add this file back again. So what I can do is I can open the file. So let me just open vim hello.java, and let us add one more change in it. So I click on insert, and let's see, where is the cursor? Okay. I want to add one more line, so let us do that. System.out.println ln, and I'm saying adding one more line. Okay, once I have done this, I come back. Let's see if that has been made change. So I see there are 2 lines. Now let us click, let us check the status once again. So when I click on, I write down git status, it basically says changes not staged for commit, and it basically says there is a file where you have modified but you haven't made these changes, and you want to basically make the changes available. So what you can do, you can again do git add and then hello.java. Once you have done this, you write git commit and then basically -m is for message, and I'm just saying that added one more line. Now if I click on git log, you will see there are 2 commits that has been made. One was basically the first commit that I made, which was hello Java, like hello world printing, and the second commit has another ID associated, and it was added one more line. So I'll be pasting this particular all these commands so that you can try out. So let me paste this. So this gets a cleaner version. So if you would see that Hina had made 2 different changes. One was first commit, that was 3 minutes ago, and there was 31 minutes ago, there was 31 seconds ago, there was another commit that was made by me. So now if I want to go back to my previous version, if I do cat hello.java, it basically tells me that this is my file presently. If I want to go back to my older version, I can do git checkout the older version, and the older version associated is basically this ID. So if I copy this and paste it over here, let me paste it now. So git checkout and basically paste. Okay, it's not working. Okay, so let me just write down 567 DF44. So forget about this warning, but now if you will do cat hello .java, you would see that this was the file, that was the initial file that I had created. If I want to go back to my newer version, I can basically write git checkout to master, git checkout master, because there if you see, the master position is at the latest version. If I click on, basically if I write down again cat hello.java, you would be able to see that this is the new file that I was working. So how Git maintains, keep a track on it, you can basically do cd, and if you see that when I had initialized, there was this folder that was created. It has a folder called objects, which is maintaining track of all the commits. So each time whenever you commit, whenever you add a file, if there is another object ID which is associated with each of these files. So once you have done this, so all this is good. I want to basically, I'm on the latest version. All these changes that I'm doing is on my local machine. I want to make it available so that if we are working in a team, so that anybody else can also come in and make the changes to these files. So what I can do is, the first step, let me go to GitHub. So I can create my new repository. So I click on your repository and then click on new. So since this is my new repository, so I am just saying new repo, which is available. I will make it as a public repository, and I basically say create repository. Once I create it, I have several commands that are available. In order to clone, you can basically either you can copy this. Otherwise, if you want to add this, you can basically just copy this git remote add origin. That would be added on your local machine so that you can push back the changes. So now I go back to my git repo again, and the thing that I had copied, I'm just pasting it over here. So once I add it, I basically say git remote it's basically saying I have already added this on my machine. I just have to push all these changes what I have done on my local machine on the server, so that anybody can clone it up and make changes to the file. So now if I do git push origin, I'm presently at the master branch. If you do not if you do not recall, but there were 2 commits that was associated. I'm presently at the master branch. When I click on it, I am saying that push the origin from this master branch. So once I click, I add this, there would be certain time and it would be pushed back over here. So there is a new branch which has been created. If I refresh this, you would be able to see hello.java has been added on the GitHub, and it has two different lines. And if you would look at, there is one contributor because I'm the one who have made these changes, and there is one branch and there are 2 commits. All of this has been stored. There were 2 commits. The first commit, and if you would see, this is the ID associated, and there was another commit which I have added. There was another ID which was associated with it. So all this is good. This had been saved on my file. Now what I want to do, for instance, there is another person who wants to work on this particular file. So what he can do is, and let me go back, let me push back. If I look at my present working directory, I am under C users. Hina, I came out from my git test, and let me create a new folder, mkdir, that is test folder, and I go to this test and clone this. In order to clone this repo that I have created, I go to this new repo, and if you click on this code, this is the URL I want to clone. In order to clone, I would write git clone and paste that URL, which is for this particular repo. So it says it has been cloned, and if you would look at my folder which is under Hina, under test, I have a new repo which has both hello.java and git. Now this is the new folder that I had created which has those things. So consider you are the person who have cloned it and you have it on your machine. Now you can make the changes, all these changes you have, and you can basically go to this file and make the changes and push the changes back again, and I'll tell you all those steps once again. So once you have done this, the next step is basically another concept which is very important is branching. So before I go to branching, let's recall with a quick recap on some of the commands that you can use. Mkdir is used for creating a new directory, new folder. Cd, the folder name, changes the directory. Then in order to initialize, you use git init. In order to edit, you can basically use vim. And then in order to track files in the project directory, you firstly add that file and then you commit that particular file. Once you have done this, you can basically push those changes back to in order to push those changes, first you have to add this remote origin on your machine, and then you can push the changes. You can also clone it using git clone. So what is branching? So master was the branch. If you see, when I had created this git folder, it says that where was it? It was saying switched to branch master. So there are branches which are associated with git, and what is the usage of branch? Consider branch as similar to as a tree which has checkpoints available at different points. So for instance, you are on v1 version. So this was the first file that you created. You added one more line. There is another line that you added. So you are at a stable checkpoint which is the v1 version, and now you want to deploy that particular version. So what you can do is the person who is working on your project can basically deploy this v1 version on their machine, and they can start working on it. But you are still working on the v2 version, and in order to work on the v2 version, you can basically create another branch, and this branch could be the new feature branch, and you can make these changes on your local machine. And whenever this this bug fix which is happening at the master branch, or the person who is using your file, make any changes, you can basically create a new branch, and you can make these changes. And once you are done with the changes, you can push back the changes and basically merge those changes. In order to merge those changes, I'll tell you what are the steps required, but let's first see how a branch is created. So presently you are at the master branch, which is, this is the branch. I want to create new branch where I can add some new things and make changes to my file. So let's do how it works. So let's see, I was I cloned this. I want to go back to my machine, so I click on CD and then basically I click on git test, because I want to go back to my previous folder where I was making the changes. Now I want to create a new branch, so I'll write git checkout -b, which is creating a new branch, and let me create a new branch which is new feature. So now it says that it has been switched to the new branch, which is new feature. Now I will add this, because I have already created a branch, but I have not added that branch, added that file into that branch. In order to add, I will write git add hello.java. So it has been added, and let's basically sorry, I need to first make changes to the file. So first let me open the file. This is vim hello java. This was the last change that I had made. Now I want to make change on the third line. So I click on system.out and just add one more line, which is adding or making some changes. I go back and do cat hello.java. So this has been done. I need to add this, so I will do git add hello.java. Once I've added, I want to commit this, so I'll say commit, and this is basically making some changes. Now once I have done this, it says that new feature has been added. Let me copy paste the log command again, and that is a better, cleaner version, so I like it. That's the reason I want to use that version. So now you see that I have one master branch and one new feature, and this is the new feature branch, which is the head position. That is, presently I'm at the head position. Head position is presently pointing towards the new feature, and the origin, the master, is still the previous version, which is added one more line, and there is the first commit which is available. So now if I want to go back to this particular master branch, what I can do, I can again do git checkout master. It has been switched to master. Now I can basically open the file, and let's see what is, or let me just open that file. So when I click on that, the master branch is pointing to the previous version, which was the V1 version that I was telling, and which is pointing to different changes that it has been done, hello world, and adding one more line. And if I go back to the new feature, so I can click on git checkout to new feature branch, and if I do vim hello.java, you would see this is the latest file that I have been working on. So I can switch between different files and basically work on these files again. So now I'm done with all my changes. So this was my new feature, and let me add one more line and basically say I'm done with my all the changes. So I can do git println and say that done with the changes, and this has been done. And let me, okay, now I want to add this again, because I have added one line. So I click on, I basically write git add hello.java. I want to commit this again, so I will say git commit, and basically I'm done, so I can just write bug fixed and I'm done with this. So this has been done. Now I want to push these changes. What I can do, I can say git push origin. I want to push this new feature. So now it is added on my GitHub. So let's see what happens at the GitHub. So here in my file, if I refresh it, it has two branches. One is basically, if you click on this, there is a master branch and there is a new feature branch. If you click on the new feature branch, that has the latest changes, which has four lines. But if you would look at the master branch, which was having just 2 lines, hello world, and adding one more line. So I have maintained 2 different copies. One is the master branch, which has the good version or V1 version, and I have a new branch which is I had made certain changes in that, and that has been pushed in my basically new feature branch. Now once I have done this, I can basically, what I can do is I want to merge these changes to basically reflect this. In order to merge these changes, what I can do is, let me check out to the master. So I have been switched to the master branch. Now let me pull the latest copy which is available, the latest copy. So I click on git pull origin master. That is the latest copy available. So I have pulled it back on my machine so that if somebody has made any changes, I can see the local changes on my machine. Then I go to git checkout and new feature. And then once I've done this, I can go git merge master. So it says git merge master has been already, like, it's up to date because I haven't made that particular change back to the machine. So let me just open vim hello.java so that you can look. This was the file that I'm referring to. I want to merge these changes back to my previous machine. So once I have, I can look at the log so that you can see. Let's see. Where is the paste? So there is basically, if you look at these, I have all these changes that are available, that are present. So now I go git checkout master. Now I go back again and git merge new feature. So that has been added. All of these changes have been done. Now if I want to look back to the log command, that both head and the master both are pointing at the newer version. In the previous, master branch was not heading, but now it has been added. Now I can do git push origin master. So now it is pushing back those changes. So let's see if that has been reflected. Now you would see that under my master branch, all those 4 lines have also been added, and similarly my new feature branch also has these changes. You can do it in similar manner. You can make changes in the master branch and then basically merge those changes back to your new feature branch, and then again basically merge back to the master branch. So the reason why I did I first merged master and then basically I merged new feature, the reason because the thing is, there are some times when there could be cases where there is the local copy which has been maintained on Git and there were certain changes meanwhile when you were working. So when you pull the latest changes, you can pull the latest copy, make changes to those file on your local end instead of first merging first to the master branch and then making the changes. It's better advisable first you merge those changes to your local machine. If there is a merge conflict, you can resolve this. Once you have done this, then you can basically go back and merge that change back to the master branch. That's the reason I did two different merges. So this was all on Git Bash. It would require a bit of practice. You can always basically practice this. And in the next lecture, I'll basically tell you. And now, if you would see, everyone is pointing to the master branch, which is bug fixed, and everything has been merged. Okay, so in this lecture I covered Git Bash. In the next lecture I would cover eGit, how to configure eGit on your machine. Firstly, I'll tell you how to configure Eclipse, and once you are done with it, I'll basically tell how to make changes on Eclipse and push those changes using eGit and work with GitHub. Okay, take care everyone.